everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Fork in the Road. Very excited to be here this week. We've got Maurice Goldberg on the couch of truth, giving us an amazing travel story about learning to turn life's lemons into lemonade. And on Go Away this week, I'm talking to you about one of my favourite destinations, and I think a brilliant place to consider for post-lockdown travel, and that's Central Australia. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of Fork in the Road.
Hi there, Guy. Wow, what an opportunity to talk about something amazing that happened in traveling. I love traveling. I can't help myself. I've traveled the world. Probably because when I was a kid, I was never allowed to travel. The furthest away we ever went was the Hawkesbury River from Sydney. You know, you get in a car and you travel 45 minutes to Bobbin Head and you're there. When I was first allowed to go traveling, which is when I left home, the first thing I did was I jumped on a plane and I ended up going to Israel and Europe and a whole lot of different places for about 8 weeks and had the best time ever. But I don't want to talk about that particular trip. I want to tell you about one of the most memorable things that has ever happened to me when traveling. And there's been a lot of things. I was with my then partner, David, and we were in Italy. We were in Italy because we'd said yes to the opportunity of going to a family wedding in Lecce. Now, who's ever heard of Lecce? Well, Lecce is down the heel of the boot of Italy, and it's this wedding cake-looking confectionery city made of this very soft sandstone. It's all ornate and stunning and beautiful. Anyway, we went to this wedding. It was unbelievable. Always say yes, by the way. There's one of my big lessons in life. Just say yes. But we were going then on a journey to the Greek islands. And we knew that Lecce was only a 3-hour bus ride to Brindisi, which is where you get the boat to go across to Patros, which is a port city not far from Athens. And anyway, we were really organised, and we got going, and we got there really early, and we arrived, and there was no one there. There was no one at this fence that you were meant to meet the boat to go to Patros. We thought, well, what's going on here? And we looked, and then we saw in the distance this orange boat going away. And we thought, have we missed the boat? And we knew that we'd got there on time, but being the schmucks we were, we actually had got the wrong time. So there we were, without a boat. The taxi dropped us in the middle of nowhere at this fence, and the next boat we discovered was 24 hours away. And we thought, what the fuck are we going to do? I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word, but what the fuck? And we ended up walking back into town. It took us about an hour with all our luggage. And I said to David, this is the beginning of an adventure. He's used to me doing adventures. In fact, give me a limitation and I'll find you an adventure. And the limitation here was we'd missed our flight on the boat. And so we went into town and we thought, we'll go into a travel agent and we'll say, what are the things we could do around here in 24 hours before we then get the next boat? And how do we get tickets for the next boat? Anyway, to cut a long story short, we eventually discovered that there was nothing much we could do around there, and that the best way for us to get in time to Mykonos, which is where we were going to, was to get a train to Rome, and it would have been a night train, and then go out to the airport, and then get a plane to Athens, and then get a plane from Athens to Mykonos. Can you believe 3 journeys? And we thought, oh, this is hell. And then I thought, no, David, this is an adventure. And we decided it was going to be an adventure. And so what we did, we booked our ticket on the overnight train to Rome, and we went and sat down in a fabulous little restaurant on the edge of the train station and bought some extraordinary food and had some wonderful cocktails. And then we got on the train, and we slept on the train, and we woke up at dawn and went out, opened the train door as we zoomed in the outer suburbs of Rome and watched as we saw famous buildings come into sight. And then we got out in Rome and we thought, we've got 6 hours before our plane trip to Athens. So we thought that'll give us at least 4 hours to go and see our favourite things in Rome. Rome. So we went and saw the Trevi Fountain, and we went and saw the Victor Emmanuel tomb, and we went and saw the Parthenon. No, the Pantheon. That's the most famous domed building in the whole world. And we went to the Spanish Steps all in 4 hours. Oh, and had an amazing coffee and pastry. We had the best time ever. Anyway, we jumped then on the train out to the airport, and we got to the airport. We'd bought our tickets obviously the night before. And we jumped on our plane and we zoomed across to Athens. And when we got to Athens, of course, we made a decision that the 4 hours we had in Athens, we were going to climb the Parthenon, the main thing that you do in Athens. So we ran up the side of the Parthenon, exhausted, of course. It took us about 45 minutes up. And then we walked around for about 45 minutes an hour, took 1,000 photographs and looked over the whole of the city. And then we ran down the other side to the train station and went out to the airport in Athens. And then we caught a plane. It was a much smaller plane. It was, say, had about 25 people. And we flew across to the Greek islands, to Mykonos, and we arrived at Mykonos airport about 5:30 in the afternoon. And the taxi drove us up to our hotel, and we got to the hotel, and we walked through the front door, and from the front door you looked across this huge terrace, which had hundreds of guests all milling around having cocktails to watch the sunset. And we walked through the door, across the terrace, and we watched the sunset. And someone dropped a drink in our hand and said, "This is a welcome drink." And we thought, that had to be the most extraordinary 24-hour trip of our lives. And I guess the lesson for me is unequivocal. Number one, always say yes. And number two, whenever there's a challenge, always say this is the beginning of an adventure. And more often than not, that adventure becomes more extraordinary than any of the planned stuff you could ever imagine. So I hope you enjoyed my little story there. See ya.
Thank you, Maurice, for that fantastic story. It was a wonderful description of a great adventure, and I feel like we were all there with you along the way. You told it so well. I've got just a couple of quick questions for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You described very much about how that experience of turning, I think the metaphor that sprung into my mind was when life throws you lemons, you turn them into lemonade kind of thing. Seemed a really good metaphor for that situation, and the message you were trying to get that across. How in sort of, when you're on holiday and you've got options and maybe time and resources, sometimes those things come to you. But how would you say you apply that kind of principle more in your day-to-day life? And bringing it down to a level of, finding your evening meal or something that you think that you can apply it to, that we can all relate to on a day-to-day basis.
Well, if you're looking at it from something that happens in an hour, going to the fridge and discovering there's nothing in the fridge, and then looking at again and going, hang on, there is something in the fridge. There's an egg, and there's a tomato, and there's a carrot, and what can I do with these? And all of a sudden you've got a banquet. But if we spin it to something much bigger, like, you're overworked, yeah, and you want to move on, and you're scared, and it feels like the biggest disaster of your life, then it's about, I guess, jumping and having faith that you're at the beginning of a new adventure.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if it's the biggest thing in your life or a little tiny thing in your life. In my life, I try anyway to get over the pain of the initial lemon, of the initial and the fear, and as quickly as possible move into possibility. And it's the amazing sense of the ability, the agility of the mind to switch. I remember someone once saying to me that proof of how quickly we can switch the mind is if you think about you having a huge big row with your partner or with with a friend or something, and someone rings you on your phone, and by accident you automatically answer the phone, and it's, "Hi, Maurice here," with a big, grin and a happy, like nothing's going on, and you're just able to break instantly into that joy and happiness when you've just been in this huge row. So we have the capacity to do it. No one can say it's impossible. And it's really more, do we make the decision to turn what seems like a very bad situation into an adventure?
Very good. That's a terrific answer, and I think that's something that we can all relate to. Do you find as you go through life with this positivity and I guess flexibility of the mind and sort of innate feeling of turning things into positives, does it become easier as time goes by, do you think, Maurice?
No. I just think we can get more disciplined.
Yeah.
So I'm no different, I don't think, to anyone. It hurts like fuck. It really does. When something goes really wrong, and the pain is no different, I don't think, for any human being than another. We feel it. It's just how quickly can I, and how many tricks do I know? How many tricks have I got up my sleeve? Like, I know if I'm in a really bad state, the best thing I can do is go and have a sleep for an hour.
Yeah.
And I'll wake up with some of that stress gone, and I'll go, okay, now let's write some stuff down and see what comes out. And sometimes I'll do freeform writing and just start by writing all the shit down, and then I go, okay, we've written all the shit down, now what are the possibilities? So it's about having some tricks and knowing what works for oneself. But the most important thing is just to recognize, no, it's never going to get easier. We just get more efficient at working out what works for us to get through it all.
Yeah.
The good thing about being overseas and traveling is that you don't want to waste a second, never alone a day or never alone a few days. So there's the pressure there to perform quickly. So it could be easier from that.
Having travelled with you a couple of times, I can confirm that you do wring the most out of every single day. All right, that's terrific, Maurice. Thank you very, very much. We really, really enjoyed that story, and it was certainly a fork in the road moment for you. And have a great day, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.
Thanks, Guy. Really loved it. See ya.
Okay, see ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, welcome to Go Away this week, and I'm going to talk to you about one of my favourite places in Australia, if not the world, today, and somewhere I think that it's appropriate to consider as a post-lockdown destination, and that's Central Australia. I'm always astonished how many people haven't been to Central Australia or haven't been for a really long time. I've been 5 times now, I think, and every time I go, I love it more. Uluru, Katajuta, Kings Canyon, Yalara, the tourist village, which is inspirational design from a very well-known architect. Alice Springs, if you happen to fly into Alice Springs, otherwise you can fly direct to Uluru Airport. But the vividness of the colours, the depth of the shadows, the fantastic tours that they have there, the depth of knowledge about Indigenous culture, art and traditions is more apparent there, more accessible there, I should say, than just about anywhere else I've been, and celebrated in a way that I think makes it easier for us to get behind. The Uluru itself, our country has a heart, and Uluru is the heart. And I think what you don't realise until you get there is that it's a beating heart, and it's been beating for a very, very long time. You'll be moved, you'll have fun, you'll be challenged, you'll learn a hell of a lot, and you will feel inspired. Go to Central Australia, There's all sorts of accommodation options from very basic camping, youth hostel, budget hotels through to 2, 3 star, right up to 5 star. I've tried a variety of them. I'm not going to make recommendations because I haven't been for a while, so I don't know if they're up to date. But last time I went with my then partner, we managed to see it raining on the rock, which happens very, very rarely. Either way, it's amazing. If you go in summer, take your fly spray and a fly veil. You can buy them there. The flies are pretty intense in summer, but it's a fantastic trip any time of year. Around this time of year, spring, and the wildflowers are out. Amazing. Central Australia, go away.